Sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve, and it was a tumultuous week for Saints receiver Michael Thomas. He was fined and sat out Monday's game following a fight with a teammate during Saturday's practice. And now a new report from The Athletic that Thomas has too often crossed the line while communicating with coaches and team personnel. The report also saying Thomas was fined not just for the altercation, but more so based on his growing reputation for being difficult. Well, it didn't take long for Thomas to respond with a series of tweets. He got this: "He ain't a snake, but they will make you." Then he posted, "Think what you want. I ain't trying to clear no rumors up." And then this in response to a question about his health. "I was never healthy. I was just trying to help my team get a win and heal up. During the bye, had a setback, was so close, and I take my health serious. Now I'm a bad guy, LOL." All right, there's a lot here. Brandon, let's start with you. Is Michael Thomas an issue for the Saints? Because we really haven't heard this unless they've kept this in-house. Is he an issue?
That's right. 100%. I mean, obviously he's an issue. You know, these things just don't happen overnight. You know, teams do a really good job of keeping things in-house, keeping things in the locker room. And you also got to look at the dynamic between Coach Payton, Drew Brees, and Mike Thomas. When I was there, I saw three of the same guys. Super intense, locked in, always just, everything's about winning. And Mike, though, you know, he straddles the fence. You know, and I think about myself, like, I didn't straddle the fence. I was, like, away from the fence, and then all of a sudden something can happen on the field, and I could cross the line. Mike straddles it, and I think because they all understand who he is and they do a good job of keeping things in-house, you know, they know how to manage him. But it's getting to a point now where they have to say something. They have to do something. And it's about emotions. For me, I just didn't know how to manage my emotions. I didn't know how to deal with the different stressors that come up every single day when it comes to competing and working with 80 different people in a locker room, coaches, support staff, trainers. Like, I had to go to McLean Hospital for 3 months in an outpatient program, take dialectical behavior therapy, mentalization therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, self-assessment to learn how to deal with these things, because there's some guys that walk around revved up all the time, and that's Michael Thomas. Yep. Now, he doesn't deal with anything off the field. I think his struggle is more about on the field and his chase for greatness. Coach Mangini talked about it yesterday. He said what made Jerry Rice great was every day Jerry Rice was practicing like he was going to get cut. That is Mike T. When I was there for a month, the very first week, I walked up to our receiver coach and I said, "Coach, I think this is the closest thing to a young Brandon Marshall." And I loved it. And what I was seeing was every single day this guy was so intense. And I saw some things where I was like, you know, I haven't seen him cross that line yet, but I can see how it can possibly get there. Just to give you an example of how intense this guy is, the day of a game playing against the Philadelphia Eagles, we're in the Ritz-Carlton, in the ballroom. We have a walkthrough, and a walkthrough is literally just take a couple steps, show Drew, show Coach Payton that you know your position. So everybody's going through their assignment, they're lining up correctly, and we're just walking. Drew doesn't even have a ball. Mike Thomas is running full speed in sandals. Drew is smiling after every play. Coach Payton is smiling after every play. I'm looking around because I'm the new guy there. I'm like, is this how he is every single day? They said, "Brandon, this is Mike T." And I say all that to say this: Mike, this could be a turning point for you because you're revved up all the time, and that's great. But a guy in Miami, KO, once told me, he slipped me a note when I came into practice one day. He said, and on this piece of paper it said, "Succeed with character." And that changed the trajectory of my career, because I thought about that and I said, it makes no sense to have 100 catch seasons year after year, make 6 Pro Bowls, do $100 million in football contracts, and not be liked by my teams, not be liked by the guys that I take the field with. And for Mike, I think you need to really lean into this, because what makes you great is making you also weak, and is also getting the best of you. So to me, this is a turning point for Mike.
So, Brandon, I think it's really interesting because sometimes, you know, what makes you great ends up causing your demise, right? We see that's a story in life and in sports we see all the time. And the guys who can thread the needle of it are the ones who are the most successful. The stories you tell about Michael Thomas, they remind me a lot about the famous stories about Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett, who would get so revved up in games, he's headbutting the basketball stanchion. He's in a full dripping sweat from his pregame workout. But he was able to keep that in bounds, right? And he was able to channel it. And even though he was, according to people who know him, he's a high-strung, high-intensity guy, whether he's playing basketball or watching Making the Band. You know, no matter what, he is able to keep it within the lines. For Michael Thomas, and this is going to sound, you know, almost silly, but there was a moment this summer on Instagram that I took note of, because I remember us saying we should talk about it on the show, and that was Devontae Parker responds to a poll. What's harder, being defended by Stephon Gilmore or breaking up a pass with Michael Thomas? And Devontae Parker says, option A, going up against Gilmore. And Michael Thomas, you don't have to read all those, you can go back and look at it, just eviscerates him. Basically says, this is why you're a bum, this is why your career's been a failure, this is why you were a first-round pick and haven't done your whole career what I did last year. And it's like, bro, he wasn't even coming at you. Like, it's not like he was mocking you, coming at you. And it just, that was a note to me. And then when you hear, Brandon, that it's not just that he punched a teammate. It's that after punching a teammate, he didn't want to apologize. He came at the coaches. He then goes to Twitter and says, basically says, I don't know who the they is, but, you know, they're snakes. This is somebody who is having trouble dialing it back. And I get maybe that's part of why he's been as great as he is on the field. But there's a lot of cautionary tales of guys who couldn't dial it back when they needed to and, you know, got moved when they shouldn't have been, or things didn't go right for him.
Listen, I wish I was in my prime when I was in New Orleans, because he's the guy I would want to play with. And he's also the guy that I think that I could possibly help and just share my stories and my failures in those first 4 years of my career and say, bro, you don't want to make these mistakes. Because at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, it's about those relationships. These coaches, these players, you know, that's what's going to really matter. Yes, we want to take care of our family, but, man, don't burn these bridges. I saw it every single day. He's a good kid. He just wants to be great. He is great. He wants to compete. I saw this guy in that walkthrough in Ritz-Carlton, in that ballroom, run full speed in flip-flops. I saw him every single day walk into the wide receiver room with no smile on his face and just say, how are y'all going to get me the ball so I can help us win? And I'm looking around, I'm looking at Ted Ginn, I'm looking at Ron Curry, our assistant wide receiver coach. I'm like, is this the level he's at every single day? To say, yes, that's the only thing on his mind is about winning. When I first got there, we had a great relationship. I said, Mike, let's go to dinner. He said, man, I'm sorry, but I'm watching film, and I watch film every night. And that's who he is. And he just needs to learn how to dial it back and turn that switch on and off. He can do that. He'll be fine, and this will be a great turning point for him.
Well, the Saints have a bye this week, so it'll be a chance for that New Orleans whole organization to figure out what's happening. All right, let's talk about it. Two teams who don't have byes this week, and we couldn't be happier about it. America's Game of the Week, Packers, Bucks. Remember, both coming into the season with Super Bowl aspirations. Only the undefeated Packers, though, have looked and played the part. So, Nick, let's jump in. Is this game more important for Rodgers and the Packers or Brady and the Bucks?
I'm going to go Rodgers and the Packers because I think they are the Super Bowl favorites right now in the NFC. And they are in such a great position, Brandon, because of what they're doing, but also because of things outside of their control. They're undefeated. They're playing well on both sides of the ball. Seattle, on the other hand, They got to figure that defense out. They have to. And the team that whooped them twice last year, Green Bay, that whooped Green Bay, San Francisco, is a mess, is injured, and is not going to make the playoffs. And so if you're Green Bay, you got to stack wins and give yourself the best chance possible for the one and only bye in the NFC this year. So, Brandon, I say Green Bay, it's more important for them.
Really quick here, Wilds. I think it's equally important for both teams for two different reasons. The Green Bay Packers, to your point, Nick, they're trying to separate themselves from everyone in the NFL. And then when you look at Tampa, they're trying to separate themselves from everyone in their division. The Panthers and Teddy B, 3-2. And then the Saints is also at 3-2. So I think it's equally important for both.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more important for Brady. 37 combined seasons, 375 games between them. Brady famously played and got the best of Peyton Manning. They played 12 times. I really want to see Brady they're tied at 1-1. This will be a third game. I just want to see Brady go 2-1 on Aaron Rodgers, Jenna.
And say what you will, these two guys want to go up against each other. I'm sure they want to beat each other. Thanks, everyone. That's it for us. Back here tomorrow morning. Undisputed starts right now.